Have you ever felt this strange mix of longing and anxiety whenever your twin flame is around, or when they are far away? That sense that no matter what you do, it's never enough? That deep, gnawing feeling that you are somehow incomplete, unworthy, or constantly seeking approval? If so, what you might not realize is that this is not actually about your twin flame, it's about your inner child. Before we dive deeper, let's pause for a moment. Imagine a little version of yourself, maybe 5, 7, or even 10 years old, sitting alone in your room, feeling unseen, unheard, or unprotected. Maybe that child cried silently when no one noticed, or desperately tried to earn attention by being good or perfect. Now imagine that little child following you into every relationship you have today, subtly guiding your emotions, reactions, and expectations. That's your inner child, and it has a voice. It has needs. And if those needs are not healed, you may unknowingly project them onto your twin flame. So, what does this projection look like? In the world of twin flames, it's tempting to see your counterpart as everything you've been longing for. A protector, a nurturer, someone to fill the voids left behind by years of unmet emotional needs. You might find yourself craving constant reassurance, looking for approval at every turn, or feeling panic when they are emotionally unavailable. Essentially, your inner child's unmet needs for protection and recognition are disguised as romantic desire. Here's a question to consider. Are you in love with your twin flame? Or are you in love with the opportunity to finally have your inner child validated? Many people don't realize this subtle trap. On the surface, everything might look like intense passion, deep connection, or magnetic pull. But beneath that, there's often a story of emotional dependency. A longing for the parent-like qualities you never received as a child. The twin flame becomes not just a lover, but a figure who is expected to protect, validate, and nurture you in ways that only a caregiver could. And when this happens, no matter how deeply you love them, the relationship will carry an undercurrent of tension, expectation, and even subtle resentment. Let's take an example. Imagine Emma, a woman in her late 20s, who has been chasing her twin flame for years. Every time he's distant, she feels anxious. Every compliment he gives feels like a fleeting validation of her worth, and every disagreement triggers a deep-seated fear of abandonment. On the outside, she might appear romantic, committed, or passionate. But if you look closer, what she's really seeking is something deeper. A sense of safety, approval, and love she never felt as a child. Her inner child is still waiting to be comforted. Or consider Liam, a man in his early 30s, who feels drawn to his twin flame like a moth to a flame. He finds himself constantly trying to fix her mood, anticipating her needs, and fearing that any moment of disagreement could push her away forever. His behavior might seem attentive and caring, but underneath it is a pattern of trying to earn love and approval, driven by an inner child that never felt secure enough to simply be. These patterns aren't your fault. Our society rarely teaches us to nurture the inner child. Most of us are conditioned to grow up quickly, to perform, to be responsible, and to suppress emotional needs that feel vulnerable or inconvenient. But the inner child never disappears. It just waits quietly for recognition. And when we enter a twin flame connection, that waiting child often mistakes the intensity of the connection for an opportunity to finally receive what it was missing. Here's the paradox. The very intensity and magnetism of a twin flame relationship can actually amplify our inner child wounds. The more we seek validation, protection, or emotional rescue from our twin flame, the more we reinforce the old patterns of dependence and emotional scarcity. In other words, the twin flame relationship becomes a mirror, reflecting back the parts of us that are still wounded. Now let's pause and ask a difficult question. What would it feel like if you could meet your twin flame from a place of wholeness instead of incompleteness? What if, instead of looking to them to fill a void, you could approach the connection from a place of self-sufficiency, compassion, and self-love? What would it mean for your relationship if your twin flame became a partner and a mirror? Not a parent, not a savior, not a replacement for the love you didn't receive as a child. This is where healing your inner child comes into play. Healing isn't just about revisiting the past or feeling sad about what didn't happen. It's about learning to give yourself what you were missing: protection, reassurance, validation, and unconditional love. When you begin to meet your inner child's needs, your relationship with your twin flame transforms. the intense neediness fades and a new kind of connection emerges, one that is balanced, reciprocal, and profoundly liberating. Healing the inner child also requires courage. It requires honesty about the ways you've unconsciously sought to make someone else fulfill a parental role in your adult relationships. It means acknowledging patterns of dependency without judgment and learning to replace them with conscious, self-loving actions. And while this process can be challenging, it is also immensely empowering. It's the key to breaking free from the emotional loops that have kept you tethered to patterns of pain, longing, and unfulfilled need. Let's explore another layer. When the inner child is wounded, you may also find yourself reacting with intense jealousy, fear, or even frustration toward your twin flame. Perhaps you overanalyze their words, get triggered by minor absences, or feel a persistent anxiety that something is wrong with the relationship. Again, these reactions are rarely about your twin flame. They are echoes of a child who needed reassurance, safety, and attention but did not consistently receive it. Here's a metaphor that may help. Imagine your inner child as a small, fragile plant inside of you. For years, it has been starved of sunlight and water, struggling to grow. When you encounter your twin flame, it's as if someone offers sunlight. But instead of watering the plant yourself, you expect them to provide everything it needs. Naturally, the plant cannot thrive if it depends solely on external sources. The true growth begins when you recognize the plant inside you and learn to nurture it from within. In essence, the first step in this journey is awareness. Awareness that the longing, fear, and neediness you feel in your twin flame relationship may actually be a reflection of your inner child. Awareness that seeking validation or protection from another adult is a sign that there's healing work to be done within. And awareness that you have the power to change this dynamic, not by controlling your twin flame, but by lovingly caring for the child within yourself. To conclude this opening segment, ask yourself these questions and be honest with your answers. Am I looking for love? Or am I looking to be healed? Am I expecting my twin flame to give me what I never received as a child? What would my relationship look like if I approached it from a place of wholeness rather than longing? These are not just philosophical questions, they are practical, actionable, and transformative. They are the doorway to a relationship with your twin flame that is not based on dependency, fear, or unhealed wounds, but on mutual respect, love, and conscious partnership. In the next part of this series, we will explore the specific signs that you may be unconsciously treating your twin flame as a parent figure, and how to recognize these patterns in your everyday behavior. But for now, let this seed of awareness take root. Healing your inner child is not optional if you want to experience a truly harmonious twin flame connection. It is the key to turning longing into love, fear into freedom, and dependency into self-empowered presence. Remember, the journey begins within. Your inner child is waiting, not for someone else to rescue it, but for you to finally show up with compassion, care, and love. When we speak about twin flames, the idea of a mirror soul often comes up. Twin flames are said to reflect the deepest aspects of ourselves, our light, our shadow, and most importantly, the wounds we carry. But what happens when the reflection is uncomfortable, challenging, or downright painful? What if, without realizing it, you've placed your twin flame in the role of a parent figure, expecting them to provide the care, validation, and protection you never fully received as a child? The first step toward healing is recognition. If you've ever felt resentment, jealousy, anxiety, or extreme dependence in your twin flame relationship, it's worth asking. Am I relating to my twin flame as an equal partner, or am I unconsciously assigning them the role of my caretaker? Here are some clear signs that your inner child might be projecting onto your twin flame. These are not accusations, they are opportunities for awareness and growth. 1. You seek constant validation and approval. One of the most common signs that you are treating your twin flame as a parent figure is the need for constant validation. You might find yourself thinking, if they truly love me, they will notice everything I do. Every compliment becomes a measure of your worth. Every silence feels like rejection. Take the story of Sophia, for example. Whenever her twin flame didn't respond to a text immediately, she felt an immediate wave of panic and self-doubt. Her inner child was replaying a familiar scenario, the fear of being unseen or abandoned. In childhood, perhaps she learned that love was conditional, only given when she behaved a certain way. Now that same child within her is asking her twin flame to provide the reassurance she never received. Ask yourself, am I seeking approval from my twin flame because I value them, or because I am trying to prove my worth? The answer can illuminate the boundary between love and dependency. 2. You feel responsible for their emotions. Another sign is over-identification with your twin flame's feelings. You may find yourself constantly monitoring their mood, worrying about what they think, or trying to fix their emotional state. This is classic inner child behavior, wanting to maintain safety and approval by controlling external circumstances. Consider Liam, who often noticed even the smallest changes in his twin flame's tone of voice. A short reply or a missed call could trigger anxiety, guilt, or overcompensation. Why? Because his inner child wanted to ensure that love and acceptance remained constant, and that nothing would disrupt the connection. Here's a reflection question. Am I responsible for their happiness, or is my task to manage my own emotional landscape? When you answer honestly, you start to disentangle your inner child's fears from the reality of adult partnership. 3. You experience intense jealousy or fear of abandonment. Do you find yourself feeling threatened when your twin flame interacts with others? Do minor separations feel catastrophic? This often signals that your inner child is projecting old abandonment fears onto your adult relationship. Take Emma's experience. She felt pangs of jealousy whenever her twin flame spent time with friends or family, even when she knew intellectually there was no reason for concern. Her inner child had learned early on that love could disappear suddenly, so she unconsciously trained herself to cling to her twin flame as if their presence guaranteed safety. Ask yourself, am I truly reacting to the present, or is my fear rooted in past experiences that my inner child hasn't healed? 4. You try to control or manage the relationship. When we unconsciously make someone a parental figure, we may attempt to control the relationship to ensure emotional security. This can manifest as micromanaging, excessive questioning, or needing to know every detail about their life. Imagine someone who constantly checks their twin flame's phone or social media, not out of distrust, but out of a desperate need to ensure the bond remains unbroken. The inner child's fear of unpredictability or abandonment drives these behaviors. Here's a gentle yet profound question. Am I cultivating trust and freedom, or am I attempting to secure my inner child's sense of safety through control? Recognizing this distinction is the first step toward freedom in the relationship. 5. You feel the pressure to earn love. Do you feel that love must be earned through your actions, appearance, or achievements? This is a hallmark of inner child wounds. As children, many of us were taught that love was conditional. We had to behave correctly, succeed, or be perfect to be accepted. In adult relationships, this pattern can translate into a constant need to prove yourself to your twin flame. You may think, if I do X, they will love me more. But real love, especially the kind that twin flames encourage, is not transactional. It is rooted in mutual acceptance and the recognition of each other's wholeness. Ask yourself, am I loving my twin flame, or am I trying to earn their approval to soothe my inner child? 6. You suppress your needs to please them. Another sign is self-sacrifice. You may find yourself neglecting your own needs to avoid conflict, or to keep your twin flame happy. While compromise is natural in any relationship, suppression often comes from a deeper place. Fear of losing love or triggering rejection. Consider Liam again. He noticed that whenever he expressed a personal boundary, he felt guilt and anxiety. His inner child feared that asserting himself would push his twin flame away. The result? Emotional exhaustion, resentment, and a sense that the relationship is unbalanced. Reflection. Am I expressing myself honestly, or am I hiding my needs to avoid abandonment? 7. You overreact to small disagreements. Does a minor disagreement feel like a crisis? This is a common manifestation of an unhealed inner child. When you unconsciously assign your twin flame a parental role, any hint of disapproval can feel like the rejection you feared as a child. Take Emma. When her twin flame disagreed with a small choice she made, she would spiral into overthinking and guilt. The intensity of her reaction was less about the disagreement and more about old wounds, the inner child reliving the fear of not being accepted or loved. Ask yourself, am I reacting to the present moment or replaying past emotional scripts? 8. You have difficulty being alone or independent. Finally, one of the clearest signs is an inability to feel whole on your own. If you constantly need your twin flame nearby, or if solitude triggers anxiety, this suggests that your inner child is still seeking external validation and protection. In healthy adult love, solitude is an opportunity for self-growth and reflection. When you can sit comfortably with yourself, your relationship is more balanced. When you can't, the inner child is still trying to outsource emotional security to your twin flame. Reflection. Can I enjoy my own company, or do I need someone else to fill the emptiness inside? 9. You react rather than respond. When we are governed by an unhealed inner child, our interactions are often reactive. We respond from old emotional wounds rather than conscious adult choices. This means that arguments, misunderstandings, or disappointments are amplified because they trigger unresolved childhood patterns. The key is to pause before reacting. Notice the emotion, trace it back to its source, your inner child, and respond with awareness and self-compassion. This shift from reaction to response is transformative. It changes the way you interact with your twin flame and helps dissolve the parent-child dynamic. 10. The mirror effect. Your twin flame reflects back your wounds. Finally, it's important to recognize that the twin flame relationship is a mirror. They are not responsible for fixing, comforting, or rescuing you. Instead, they reflect your unhealed areas back to you so that you can see, acknowledge, and nurture them. Every time you feel triggered, every time you panic, every time you feel the need for approval, it's your inner child speaking. Your twin flame is not the problem. Your unhealed patterns are. And here's the empowering truth. Once you recognize these patterns, you can consciously choose a different way of being. Reflection questions to close this section. Am I using my twin flame as a parent, or am I engaging as a partner? Which of my inner child wounds are being reflected in my reactions? What would change if I started nurturing the child within myself instead of relying on someone else? Recognition is the first step toward transformation. By identifying these signs, you begin the journey of reclaiming your emotional sovereignty. You start to disentangle love from dependency, connection from neediness, and partnership from parental projection. In the next part of this series, we'll explore how to heal the inner child's need for protection, practical exercises to begin this healing, and ways to cultivate self-sufficiency in emotional and relational spaces. For now, pause, reflect, and ask yourself honestly, am I ready to stop asking my twin flame to be my parent and start being the loving adult my inner child has been waiting for? In the previous part, we explored the signs that you may be unconsciously treating your twin flame as a parental figure. You may have recognized patterns of dependency, anxiety, or overcompensation in your relationship. But to truly transform these dynamics, we must go deeper, beyond the surface behaviors, into the root of the issue, the inner child's need for protection. From the earliest stages of life, each of us carries an innate desire to feel safe, seen, and supported. As children, when these needs are unmet, when caregivers are inconsistent, absent, or critical, we learn to seek safety wherever we can. Unfortunately, many of us grow into adulthood without fully resolving these unmet needs. Instead, we carry them like a hidden wound, often unaware that they shape our relationships in profound ways. Understanding the inner child's need for protection. Imagine a young child who feels vulnerable and uncertain about the world. This child seeks a guardian, someone who will shield them from harm, provide comfort in moments of fear, and offer reassurance when they feel insecure. In healthy circumstances, a caregiver can meet these needs, or at least help the child develop the tools to self-soothe. However, when a child's emotional needs are neglected, they internalize the idea that safety is conditional or elusive. Fast forward to adulthood. The inner child still longs for protection, but now the adult self must navigate relationships, careers, and personal growth. Enter the twin flame, a deeply resonant, intense, and magnetic connection. The inner child instinctively recognizes the twin flame as a potential source of the safety it craves, because nothing else seems as powerful, transformative, or validating. This is where the subtle danger lies. Instead of meeting your own need for protection, the inner child unconsciously projects it onto your twin flame. Suddenly, a relationship meant to be reciprocal becomes a space of expectation. You may find yourself thinking, if my twin flame truly loves me, they will keep me safe, comfort me when I am anxious, and never leave me alone with my fear. While this seems natural on the surface, it places a burden on the twin flame to serve as a protector rather than a partner. Real-life examples of seeking protection in twin flame relationships. Let's explore some examples to illuminate this dynamic. Example 1. Emma's fear of emotional abandonment. Emma notices that whenever her twin flame does not respond to a message within a short period, she feels an acute sense of panic. Her inner child experiences this as a form of abandonment, triggering old memories of neglect or emotional unavailability. Instead of grounding herself and reassuring her inner child, she immediately seeks protection from her twin flame. Texts, calls, or emotionally charged messages demanding attention. Her twin flame, however loving and patient, cannot always meet these urgent demands. The resulting tension fuels the pattern, reinforcing her perception that safety must come from external sources. Example 2. Liam's hypervigilance. Liam constantly scans his twin flame's mood for signs of disapproval. A subtle change in tone, a delayed response, or a brief disagreement triggers anxiety and guilt. He unconsciously seeks his twin flame's reassurance as a shield against his inner child's fear of criticism or rejection. Liam's actions, overanalyzing, overcompensating, or preemptively pleasing, mirror the behavior of a child desperately seeking protection, rather than an adult cultivating personal resilience. Example 3. The constant rescuer dynamic. In some cases, the inner child may project the need for protection onto the twin flame to the extent that it triggers a rescuer dynamic. One partner becomes the protector, always managing the other's emotional state, while the other constantly seeks reassurance or comfort. This dynamic mirrors childhood patterns of dependency, the caregiver-child relationship transplanted into an adult partnership. Though intense, passionate, and often confusing, this dynamic is not about love in its pure form. It's about unmet emotional needs seeking fulfillment. The psychological mechanics behind the need for protection. Psychologists often describe this pattern in terms of attachment theory. Individuals with anxious or insecure attachment styles, formed in early childhood, are particularly prone to projecting their need for safety onto adult partners. When the inner child has experienced neglect, unpredictability, or inconsistency, the adult self may continue to seek external validation or protection as a means of emotional survival. The twin flame, by its very nature, is a mirror of these unresolved wounds. The intensity of the connection can magnify fears, insecurities, and emotional triggers. Every instance of perceived distance, disagreement, or miscommunication may awaken the inner child's sense of vulnerability. It is important to note that this is not a flaw or a weakness. It is the natural consequence of unmet childhood needs. The power of awareness lies in recognizing that these reactions belong to the inner child, not to the adult self, and that they can be addressed and healed. Questions to begin self-reflection. Before moving into healing practices, pause and reflect on these questions. 1. Do I feel safe within myself, or am I relying on my twin flame to create safety for me? 2. Do I seek reassurance, comfort, or protection from my twin flame in ways that feel urgent or compulsive? 3. Am I noticing my reactions as adult emotions, or am I responding as if my inner child is in danger? 4. How often do I allow myself to self-soothe instead of demanding emotional rescue from my partner? These questions are designed to guide awareness. Awareness is the first step to breaking free from patterns of dependency and projection. Practical ways to begin healing the need for protection. Healing the inner child's need for protection is not about rejecting your twin flame or withdrawing from love. It is about reclaiming your emotional autonomy and learning to nurture the child within. Here are some practices that can help. 1. Inner dialogue and journaling. Set aside time each day to converse with your inner child. Ask, what do you need to feel safe right now? Write down the feelings that arise without judgment. Respond as the adult you have become. I hear you. I will protect you. You are safe here with me. This practice builds the bridge between childlike vulnerability and adult resilience. 2. Self-soothing techniques. When anxiety arises in your twin flame relationship, pause and practice grounding techniques. Deep breathing, mindfulness meditation, or gentle self-hugging can activate the body's natural sense of safety. By providing immediate care for your inner child, you reduce the impulse to seek protection externally. 3. Set boundaries with compassion. Recognize that expecting your twin flame to meet every emotional need is unfair, to them and to yourself. Begin setting healthy boundaries. Communicate openly, practice patience, and allow space for both partners to process emotions independently. Boundaries are acts of love that honor both yourself and your twin flame. 4. Reparenting yourself. Reparenting is the conscious act of becoming the caregiver your inner child never had. Speak kindly to yourself, nurture your emotional needs, and acknowledge your fears without shame. As you provide the protection your inner child craves, the compulsive need to outsource this care to your twin flame diminishes. The transformational power of healing. When the inner child receives protection from within, the nature of the twin flame relationship changes. The intensity of dependency decreases, emotional triggers soften, and interactions become more authentic and balanced. The twin flame is no longer a parental figure. They become a mirror, a partner, and a co-creator of shared growth. This shift does not happen overnight. It requires awareness, patience, and consistent practice. But the reward is profound. A relationship built not on fear, anxiety, or unmet needs, but on mutual respect, deep love, and emotional maturity. Imagine the difference. Instead of clinging, you feel secure. Instead of panicking, you respond with calm. Instead of seeking validation, you offer love and acceptance to yourself first. And from that place of wholeness, your twin flame relationship flourishes, free of the unconscious parent-child dynamic. Reflection for Part 3. To close this segment, consider the following reflective questions. Where in my twin flame relationship am I seeking protection that only I can provide? Which fears belong to my inner child? And which belong to the present moment? How can I begin to nurture my inner child today so my twin flame can be a partner instead of a protector? Healing the need for protection is the foundation for transforming your relationship. It is the step that allows you to stop unconsciously making your twin flame the parent figure and begin experiencing a love that is conscious, balanced, and deeply empowering. In the next part of this series, we will explore the inner child's need for recognition, another core wound that often drives dependency in twin flame connections, and how learning to validate yourself can shift the dynamic entirely. Remember, the journey begins with the recognition that protection comes from within, not from anyone else, and your inner child is waiting for you to step into that role of loving guardian. In the previous part, we explored the inner child's need for protection and how it can lead to projecting dependency onto your twin flame. We saw how anxiety, overcompensation, and constant seeking of reassurance often stem from the wounds of childhood, where safety was inconsistent or unavailable. But protection is only one side of the coin. Another deep, driving force that influences our relationships is the need for recognition, the longing to be seen, valued, and validated. Recognition is not merely about compliments or praise. It is about feeling truly acknowledged for who you are. When this need is unmet in childhood, the inner child carries a lingering sense of invisibility or unworthiness. In adulthood, especially in the context of a twin flame connection, this unmet need often manifests as an unconscious expectation that your twin flame must validate your worth, affirm your identity, and constantly reassure you that you are loved and valued. Understanding the need for recognition. Imagine a child growing up in a home where achievements, behaviors, or even emotions are overlooked. Perhaps the child's creative efforts were dismissed, their feelings were minimized, or their accomplishments were only acknowledged if they met certain conditions. The child internalizes a subtle, yet powerful message: I am not enough as I am. I must earn love and recognition to be worthy. Fast forward to adulthood. That child has grown, but the emotional memory persists. You may find yourself constantly measuring your worth against someone else's perception, particularly your twin flames. You might think, if they truly see me, I will finally feel enough. This creates a dynamic where love becomes conditional, approval becomes essential, and your inner child is still seeking the validation it never received. The paradox here is that your twin flame cannot heal what you haven't healed in yourself. No matter how loving, patient, or attentive they are, they cannot fully satisfy a need that is rooted in your own childhood experiences. And yet, this is precisely the trap many people fall into. The longing for recognition becomes so intense that the twin flame is unconsciously placed in the role of the parent who must approve, validate, and affirm the adult child. Signs you're seeking recognition from your twin flame. Recognizing these patterns is crucial. Here are some signs that your inner child's need for recognition is being projected onto your twin flame. 1. You constantly seek compliments or praise. If you notice that your mood, self-esteem, or confidence fluctuates based on what your twin flame says or does, it's a sign of unmet recognition. Perhaps a kind word brightens your entire day, while a missed compliment leaves you feeling deflated. This is your inner child craving validation that was inconsistent or absent in childhood. For example, Sophia often found herself checking how her twin flame responded to her social media posts. Every like, comment, or compliment felt like proof of worth. Yet the intensity of her emotional reaction had little to do with the moment itself. It was the echo of a child seeking acknowledgement in a world that sometimes overlooked them. 2. You overachieve to gain approval. Some adults attempt to earn love or recognition through performance, perfection, or achievements. While striving for success is natural, doing so primarily to gain approval from a partner reveals an inner child wound. Liam, for instance, consistently went out of his way to please his twin flame, suppressing his own needs to ensure she would approve of him. His achievements became less about personal growth and more about earning love. This is the parent-child dynamic in action. The child performing to gain validation from a caretaker. 3. You feel insecure without constant reassurance. If your inner child's need for recognition is unmet, even minor periods of silence or perceived disinterest from your twin flame can trigger insecurity or anxiety. You might interpret neutral behaviors as judgment or rejection. Emma would experience panic whenever her twin flame didn't respond promptly to messages. Even when logically she knew he was busy, the fear of not being seen or enough ignited her inner child's pain. The result? Clinging, over-explaining, or emotional reactions aimed at eliciting reassurance. 4. You take criticism personally. Another sign is an exaggerated sensitivity to critique. The inner child, conditioned to believe love is conditional, interprets criticism as evidence of unworthiness. Even constructive feedback from a twin flame can feel like rejection or abandonment. Consider Sophia again. When her twin flame suggested a small change in their plans, she felt hurt and defensive. The real trigger was not the suggestion itself but her inner child's old fear of not being enough, an echo of childhood experiences where love felt conditional. How the need for recognition creates a parent-child dynamic. When you unconsciously place your twin flame in the role of validating you, several dynamics emerge. Dependence. You may rely on them to affirm your worth rather than cultivating self-acceptance. Resentment. When recognition is not given in the way or frequency you expect, frustration builds. Emotional volatility. Your mood swings mirror the highs and lows of your inner child's emotional world, projected onto your partner. Imbalance. The relationship becomes less about mutual growth and more about satisfying unhealed childhood needs. In short, the twin flame relationship reflects back the wounds of your inner child. The longing for recognition can make the connection intense, magnetic, and often tumultuous, but it is also an opportunity. The relationship is asking you to reclaim your power, self-worth, and capacity for self-validation. Practical steps to heal the need for recognition. Healing this wound requires a conscious effort to nurture the inner child and practice self-validation. Here are some techniques. 1. Affirmations and self-validation. Practice affirming your own worth. Speak to yourself as a loving parent would. You are enough exactly as you are. Your feelings, your efforts, and your presence matter. Repeating affirmations consistently can rewire the brain to internalize validation rather than seeking it externally. 2. Journaling and reflection. Write letters to your inner child, acknowledging their feelings and expressing recognition for their struggles. Example: I see you. I hear you. You are doing the best you can, and that is enough. This bridges the gap between unmet childhood needs and present self-compassion. 3. Mindfulness and presence. Practice observing your emotional reactions without judgment. When you notice a surge of insecurity or a desire for reassurance, pause and ask, which part of me is seeking recognition right now? Identifying the inner child's voice allows you to respond consciously rather than reactively. 4. Setting healthy boundaries. Understand that expecting constant validation from a partner is unfair. Communicate your needs clearly and allow space for both yourself and your twin flame to navigate emotions independently. Boundaries protect your inner child and maintain balance in the relationship. 5. Celebrate your own achievements. Rather than relying on your twin flame's praise, celebrate your accomplishments independently. Take pride in small victories and acknowledge your growth. Over time, this strengthens self-recognition and reduces dependency on external validation. The transformational impact of healing recognition. As you cultivate self-recognition, the twin flame relationship shifts profoundly. The intensity of emotional dependence diminishes, your responses become more balanced, and interactions are rooted in conscious love rather than unhealed childhood needs. The relationship moves from a parent-child dynamic to one of equal partnership, mutual respect, and shared growth. Imagine feeling secure in your worth, confident in your presence, and able to experience your twin flame's love without anxiety or neediness. This is the power of healing the inner child's need for recognition. It liberates you to fully embrace love without projection, expectation, or compulsion. Pause and consider these questions. Am I seeking my twin flame's approval, or am I giving it to myself first? Which reactions are coming from my inner child, and which are adult responses? How can I acknowledge and celebrate myself today, independently of anyone else? The journey towards self-recognition is ongoing, requiring patience, self-compassion, and consistent practice. Yet each step brings you closer to a relationship where your twin flame is a partner and mirror, not a parent or authority figure. In the next part of this series, we will explore how to break the cycle of dependency by learning to provide both protection and recognition to your inner child simultaneously. We will delve into practical exercises for integrating self-soothing, validation, and conscious boundaries into your daily life. Remember, the path to a healthy, balanced twin flame connection begins with recognizing that true recognition must first come from within. Only then can your twin flame relationship evolve into a space of shared love, mutual growth, and conscious partnership. In the previous parts, we explored the inner child's need for protection and recognition, and how these unmet needs can unconsciously transform a twin flame relationship into a parent-child dynamic. We learned that constant seeking of validation, reassurance, and emotional security often stems from wounds carried from childhood. But awareness alone is not enough. To truly step into a healthy, conscious twin flame connection, we must address the emotional dependency loop itself. A cycle where longing, anxiety, and projection keep you tethered to someone else for your sense of worth and safety. Breaking this loop is a profound step toward personal empowerment and relational freedom. It is about learning to provide for your inner child what has been missing, so your twin flame can remain a mirror, partner, and companion, not a parent, rescuer, or source of validation. Understanding the emotional dependency loop. The emotional dependency loop is a repetitive cycle in which unmet childhood needs drive adult behavior in relationships. Here's how it typically unfolds. 1. Trigger: your twin flame's behavior. Whether a delayed response, a disagreement, or a neutral action, activates the inner child's fear or longing. 2. Projection: the inner child projects the need for protection, validation, or approval onto your twin flame, expecting them to fill the void. 3. Emotional reaction: anxiety, jealousy, frustration, or panic arise. You may overanalyze, overcompensate, or cling to your twin flame to relieve this emotional pressure. 4. Temporary relief: when the twin flame reassures you, apologizes, or expresses love, the inner child feels momentarily soothed. 5. Reinforcement: the cycle reinforces the belief that love, safety, and worth come from external sources rather than from within. This loop can feel comforting in its predictability, yet it is deeply limiting. It keeps the inner child dependent, the adult self reactive, and the twin flame relationship imbalanced. Without intervention, this loop can repeat for months, or even years, creating emotional exhaustion, resentment, and subtle feelings of inadequacy. Real-life illustration of the loop. Consider the story of Emma and her twin flame. Emma notices that when he doesn't reply to her texts promptly, a familiar anxiety emerges. She feels unseen, unworthy, and fearful of abandonment. In response, she sends multiple messages, overanalyzes his actions, and imagines worst-case scenarios. Her twin flame, though loving and patient, becomes aware of her distress and sends a reassuring message. Emma feels temporarily validated, and the loop resets. While the reassurance brings relief, it does not address the root issue. Her inner child is still seeking validation externally, rather than learning to self-soothe. Each repetition of this cycle strengthens dependency and prevents true emotional independence. Liam's experience is similar but manifested differently. He constantly anticipates his twin flame's emotional needs, attempting to control situations to prevent conflict or distance. The fear of triggering disapproval drives his behavior, creating stress and resentment. When his twin flame responds positively, the momentary relief reinforces his sense that his worth and security depend on someone else's behavior, not his own inner resources. These examples illustrate the subtle power of the emotional dependency loop. It masquerades as love, care, or passion but is actually rooted in unmet childhood needs. Recognizing the signs you're stuck in the loop. To break free, you first need to recognize the patterns. Ask yourself, do I feel anxious or incomplete without my twin flame's reassurance or attention? Do I find myself overanalyzing their words, actions, or behaviors? Do I react emotionally in ways that feel disproportionate to the situation? Am I seeking validation, safety, or love from them instead of myself? Do I feel trapped in cycles of longing, jealousy, or fear of abandonment? Answering yes to one or more of these questions suggests that the emotional dependency loop is active and influencing your relationship. Breaking the loop. Steps toward emotional sovereignty. Breaking the dependency loop requires a combination of awareness, self-compassion, and practical strategies. Here are concrete steps. 1. Pause and observe. The first step is mindful awareness. When you feel triggered, pause before reacting. Notice the physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts arising within you. Ask, which part of me is reacting? The adult, or the inner child seeking safety and recognition? This pause allows you to respond consciously instead of reacting automatically, which is the first key to breaking the cycle. 2. Separate past from present. Recognize that the triggers often originate from past experiences rather than current realities. Your twin flame is not your parent, and their actions do not define your worth. Practice mentally labeling the triggers as childhood echoes or inner child responses. This reframing helps create emotional distance and perspective. 3. Reparent your inner child. Actively provide for your inner child what you needed in the past. Protection. Reassure yourself with grounding exercises, meditation, or visualization. Imagine holding your younger self, offering safety, warmth, and love. Recognition. Acknowledge your efforts, feelings, and presence. Affirm, I see you. You are enough exactly as you are. Comfort. Allow yourself to express emotions freely without judgment. Cry if you need to, write your feelings, or speak to yourself with kindness. Reparenting strengthens internal resources and reduces the compulsion to outsource emotional regulation to your twin flame. 4. Set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are essential for breaking the loop. Recognize that your twin flame is not responsible for your emotional survival. Set limits on behaviors, communication, or expectations that fuel dependency. Boundaries are not walls. They are structures that support mutual respect, balance, and conscious love. 5. Cultivate self-validation. Learn to validate your own feelings and experiences. Journaling, affirmations, or speaking aloud to yourself can reinforce self-recognition. For example, I am worthy of love. I am capable of meeting my own needs. I am safe within myself. This practice gradually replaces the external validation you once sought compulsively. 6. Engage in emotional regulation practices. Techniques such as mindfulness meditation, breathwork, or somatic exercises help stabilize emotional responses. When triggers arise, engage your body and mind to anchor yourself in the present. This prevents automatic reactions that perpetuate the loop. 7. Observe the mirror effect. Remember that the twin flame acts as a mirror, reflecting both light and shadow. When triggers surface, ask, what is my inner child experiencing right now? What does this reflection teach me about my unresolved needs? Seeing the relationship as a mirror empowers you to respond with insight rather than compulsion. The transformational outcome of breaking the loop. When the emotional dependency loop is addressed, several transformations occur. Freedom from anxiety. You feel secure without constant reassurance. Balanced connection. The relationship shifts from reactive to conscious, fostering mutual growth. Authentic love. Love is expressed freely, without expectations or conditionality. Inner strength. You cultivate resilience, self-worth, and emotional autonomy. Consider Emma after working on her inner child. Instead of panicking over delayed messages, she practiced grounding exercises, acknowledged her feelings, and self-soothed. Over time, she felt more confident and emotionally balanced. Her twin flame relationship became less about validation and more about conscious connection, deepening intimacy without dependency. Pause and consider, which patterns in my twin flame relationship are driven by my inner child's need for reassurance or recognition? How can I actively nurture and validate myself before seeking it externally? What boundaries can I establish to honor both my needs and my twin flame's autonomy? How can I respond to triggers with conscious choice rather than reaction? Breaking the emotional dependency loop is not a quick fix. It is a gradual, ongoing practice of awareness, self-compassion, and conscious action. But each step taken strengthens your inner child, cultivates emotional sovereignty, and transforms the twin flame connection into a partnership grounded in mutual respect, balance, and authentic love. Remember, the twin flame is not your parent, rescuer, or source of unconditional validation. They are a mirror, reflecting back unresolved patterns, but also an opportunity to practice conscious love and emotional freedom. By breaking the dependency loop, you reclaim your power, nurture your inner child, and step into a relationship where love flows from wholeness, not neediness. In the next part of this series, we will explore practical exercises for integrating protection, recognition, and emotional sovereignty into daily life, allowing you to fully embody a healed, self-sufficient adult who can experience the twin flame connection without projection or dependency. The journey is challenging, yet profoundly liberating, and it begins with the conscious choice to meet your inner child's needs yourself, rather than seeking them outside. In the previous parts, we explored the signs of projecting childhood wounds onto your twin flame, the patterns of emotional dependency, and the critical roles of unmet needs for protection and recognition. Now we enter the heart of the healing process. Practical ways to nurture, protect, and validate your inner child so that your twin flame relationship can thrive without the burden of parental projection. Healing is not an abstract concept, it is a deliberate practice. It requires presence, patience, and the willingness to confront long-held fears and insecurities. By learning to meet your own emotional needs, you reclaim your sovereignty and open the door to a truly balanced, conscious connection with your twin flame. Understanding self-parenting. Self-parenting or reparenting is the process of becoming the caretaker your inner child never fully experienced. This does not mean suppressing vulnerability or rejecting love from others. Rather, it means providing the protection, recognition, and comfort internally that you once sought externally. The inner child craves three primary forms of care. 1. Protection. Feeling safe, secure, and shielded from harm or emotional overwhelm. 2. Recognition. Feeling seen, valued, and acknowledged for who you truly are. 3. Comfort. Receiving love, acceptance, and understanding without conditions. By cultivating these internally, the compulsive need to seek them from your twin flame diminishes, allowing the relationship to evolve from dependency into partnership. Step 1. Building inner protection. Protection is the foundation of inner child healing. Without feeling safe within yourself, the mind and body remain hyper-alert, reacting to perceived threats or emotional triggers. Practical exercises for inner protection. A visualization of a safe space. Close your eyes and imagine a sanctuary, a place where your inner child feels fully protected. It could be a literal space like a cozy room, or a symbolic space like a glowing cocoon of light. Invite your inner child into this space and visualize yourself surrounding them with warmth, strength, and safety. Whenever fear or anxiety arises, return mentally to this sanctuary. B. Physical grounding. Engage your senses to anchor yourself in safety. Feel your feet on the floor, notice your breath, or hold a comforting object. Grounding signals to your nervous system that you are present and protected, even when external circumstances feel uncertain. C. Affirmations for safety. Speak directly to your inner child. You are safe. I am here. I will protect you from harm. Repeat these statements regularly, especially during moments of anxiety, doubt, or fear. Over time, they become internalized, creating a stable sense of security independent of external validation. Step 2. Cultivating self-recognition. Recognition is the emotional nourishment of the inner child. It is the acknowledgement that your feelings, presence, and efforts matter, even when no one else validates them. Practical exercises for inner recognition. A daily acknowledgement ritual. Set aside time each day to recognize your accomplishments, qualities, and efforts. This could be as simple as listing 3 things you did well or appreciating aspects of your character. I handled that situation with grace. I expressed my feelings honestly. I am proud of my effort. This practice strengthens internal validation and reduces the need to seek constant approval from your twin flame. B. Journaling to your inner child. Write letters to your inner child, acknowledging their struggles and celebrating their resilience. Example: I see you. I know you have been afraid and overlooked, but you are brave, and your feelings are valid. I honor you. This bridges the gap between past wounds and present self-compassion, fostering deep emotional recognition. C. Mirror exercise. Look into a mirror and speak directly to yourself with kindness and acknowledgement. Say your name aloud and affirm your worth. Your name: you are enough exactly as you are. I see you and I honor you. This may feel awkward at first, but it gradually trains the nervous system to recognize internal worth without dependence on external validation. Step 3. Offering comfort and emotional nurturing. Comfort is the emotional balm your inner child craves. It involves soothing yourself during moments of distress, sadness, or fear. Practical exercises for comfort. Emotional release techniques. Allow yourself to express emotions fully. Cry, scream, or write down your feelings. Suppressing emotions perpetuates the cycle of dependency. The act of releasing provides relief and signals to your inner child that it is safe to feel. Be gentle. Self-touch. Hug yourself, place your hands on your heart, or gently stroke your arms. Physical touch can convey comfort, security, and love, communicating to your nervous system that you are safe. C. Compassionate self-talk. During moments of fear or frustration, speak kindly to yourself. It's okay to feel this way. You are allowed to have these emotions. I am here with you. Consistently practicing self-compassion strengthens resilience and diminishes reliance on others for emotional regulation. Step 4. Integrating protection, recognition, and comfort into daily life. Healing the inner child is not a one-time exercise. It is a continuous practice integrated into daily life. Here are ways to make it habitual. 1. Morning check-in. Upon waking, take a few minutes to connect with your inner child. Ask, "What do you need today?" Respond with protection, recognition, or comfort as needed. 2. Mindful pauses. Throughout the day, notice emotional triggers. Instead of reacting, ask, "Which part of me is seeking care right now?" Address it internally before turning outward. 3. End-of-day reflection. Before sleep, review moments of emotional dependency or reactivity. Affirm your growth. I noticed my fear today and cared for myself. I am learning to meet my needs from within. By integrating these practices, you gradually internalize emotional security, reducing projection onto your twin flame and fostering a healthier, balanced relationship. Step 5. Practical story examples. Emma's journey. After months of practicing inner child healing, Emma noticed a profound shift. When her twin flame didn't respond immediately to messages, instead of spiraling into anxiety, she paused, grounded herself, and spoke to her inner child. "You are safe. I am here for you." Over time, her emotional reactivity decreased, and her twin flame could engage with her from a place of partnership, rather than being a rescuer. Liam's transformation. Liam practiced daily recognition rituals and mirror exercises. He began to celebrate his accomplishments and acknowledge his feelings without relying on external approval. This not only strengthened his self-worth, but also allowed his twin flame to interact with him as an equal partner. Their connection deepened, free from the parent-child dynamic that had previously dominated their relationship. Reflection questions for healing. As you practice healing your inner child, consider these questions. What does my inner child need from me right now? Protection, recognition, or comfort? How can I provide these things for myself without seeking them externally? In which situations am I projecting my inner child's needs onto my twin flame? How does it feel to recognize, nurture, and comfort myself first? These reflections foster self-awareness and conscious decision-making, transforming emotional patterns that previously fueled dependency. The transformational outcome. When you consistently practice self-parenting, the twin flame relationship evolves naturally. Emotional triggers soften, anxiety decreases, and connection becomes more conscious and balanced. You experience autonomy. The inner child's needs are met internally, reducing reliance on external validation. Emotional resilience. You respond to challenges from a grounded, adult perspective. Mutual growth. The relationship becomes a space of partnership, reflection, and shared learning. Authentic love. Love flows freely, unencumbered by projection, expectation, or compulsion. The process is gradual, but every act of self-care and self-recognition strengthens the foundation for a healthier, more conscious connection with your twin flame. Healing the inner child is the ultimate act of love toward yourself. It is not about rejecting your twin flame, but about reclaiming emotional sovereignty and cultivating a relationship based on equality, trust, and authenticity. By providing protection, recognition, and comfort internally, you free your twin flame from the unconscious role of parent, allowing both of you to experience a connection that is profound, balanced, and transformative. As you continue on this journey, remember, the love, validation, and security you seek externally can always be nurtured within. Your inner child is waiting, ready to be seen, protected, and cherished by the adult you have become. By now, you have explored the foundations of inner child healing, providing protection, recognition, and comfort to yourself, and beginning to break free from emotional dependency loops. You've learned that the twin flame is a mirror, reflecting unresolved patterns from your past. The challenge now is translating these insights into practical actions within your daily relationship, creating a connection that is conscious, balanced, and free from parent-child projections. Healing is only meaningful when it informs real-life interactions. Your twin flame relationship becomes a living laboratory in which you can practice emotional sovereignty, self-validation, and compassion for both yourself and your partner. Step 1. Recognizing triggers in real time. The first practical application is recognition of emotional triggers as they occur. The twin flame connection, intense and magnetic by nature, often acts as a catalyst, awakening unhealed wounds. The key is not to eliminate triggers, they will arise, but to observe them consciously without immediate reaction. Example: Emma noticed that when her twin flame shared a story about a colleague's success, she immediately felt a surge of jealousy and inadequacy. Her inner child whispered, "I'm not good enough. He'll leave me if I'm not impressive." Rather than reacting impulsively, sending a critical message or withdrawing emotionally, Emma paused and acknowledged the trigger. "This feeling is my inner child responding. It is not a reflection of my twin flame's actions, but of my own past insecurities." By naming the trigger in real time, you create a space between impulse and response. This space is the foundation of conscious communication and balanced interaction. Step 2. Practicing self-soothing before communicating. Once a trigger is recognized, the next step is self-soothing. Instead of seeking immediate reassurance from your twin flame, respond internally first. Techniques for self-soothing include grounding. Feel your feet on the floor, notice your breath, or touch a comforting object. Inner dialogue. Speak to your inner child. "I am here. You are safe. I am with you." Visualization. Imagine a protective light surrounding you, calming the body and mind. Example: Liam's twin flame was late returning a text. Normally, he would overthink and send multiple follow-ups. Now he paused, acknowledged his inner child's fear, and practiced deep breathing while silently reassuring himself, "I can wait. My worth is not dependent on his response. I am safe in this moment." Self-soothing before communication prevents reactive behaviors and reduces projection onto your partner. Step 3. Communicating from the adult self. After self-soothing, communicate from your adult self rather than your inner child. This means expressing feelings, needs, or boundaries without blame or urgency. Adult communication is honest, grounded, and respectful. Practical example: instead of texting, "Why didn't you reply? Don't you care about me?" you might say, "I noticed a moment of worry when I didn't hear from you. I'm working on self-soothing, but I wanted to share how I felt." Notice the difference. The first message reflects the inner child seeking validation, while the second message expresses awareness, self-responsibility, and emotional honesty. This approach fosters understanding rather than tension. Step 4. Setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are a critical way to integrate inner child healing into real-life relationships. They protect your emotional autonomy and reinforce mutual respect. Examples of practical boundaries: communication boundaries. Agree on times to respond or discuss sensitive topics without creating pressure. Emotional boundaries. Recognize what feelings belong to you versus your partner, and avoid projecting them. Personal space. Maintain individual interests, hobbies, and friendships to reinforce self-identity. Example: Emma noticed she felt anxious whenever her twin flame took time alone. By setting a boundary, "I honor your need for space. I will use this time to care for myself," she reinforced her inner child's sense of safety while respecting her partner's autonomy. Step 5. Co-creating rituals for recognition and appreciation. While internal self-recognition is essential, twin flame relationships can also serve as mirrors and co-creators of acknowledgement, without creating dependency. Rituals of appreciation encourage mutual recognition without reinforcing parent-child dynamics. Examples: daily acknowledgement. Share one thing you appreciated about your partner each day. Shared reflection. Discuss experiences where you both felt seen and supported, emphasizing collaboration rather than validation seeking. Celebrating achievements together. Honor accomplishments collectively without making your worth contingent on praise. These practices transform recognition from a dependency mechanism into a conscious expression of love. Step 6. Mindful responses to conflict. Conflict often triggers the inner child's fear of abandonment or rejection. Healing these dynamics requires mindful, reflective responses. 1. Pause before responding to conflict triggers. 2. Check in with your inner child. What am I feeling, and which part of me is reacting? 3. Express your needs without judgment. I felt hurt when this happened. I want to share my feelings and listen to yours. 4. Focus on problem solving and emotional understanding rather than blame. Example: Liam's twin flame made a decision that conflicted with his expectations. Instead of reacting with panic or criticism, he recognized his inner child's fear, practiced self-soothing, and approached the conversation with calm honesty. I noticed I felt uneasy when this happened. Can we talk about it together? This approach strengthens trust and prevents the cycle of emotional reactivity. Step 7. Integrating daily practices for consistent healing. Consistency is key. Integrate inner child care into daily life to make conscious responses natural. Morning check-ins. Ask your inner child what it needs and provide it immediately. Mindful pauses. When emotional reactions arise, pause and self-soothe. Evening reflections. Journal experiences, noting moments of conscious response and growth. Affirmations. Reinforce internal protection, recognition, and comfort. Over time, these habits shift the nervous system from reactive to resilient, transforming the relationship into a conscious, balanced connection. Step 8. Embracing the twin flame as a mirror, not a parent. The ultimate transformation is recognizing your twin flame as a mirror, not a parent. They reflect both your shadows and strengths, offering opportunities for growth rather than emotional rescue. Key reminders: their actions are not a measure of your worth. Their love is complementary, not conditional on meeting every emotional need. Your responsibility is to nurture and validate yourself first, creating space for conscious love. Example: Emma noticed her twin flame's silence no longer triggered panic. She understood that her inner child needed internal reassurance, not external validation. As a result, she approached interactions from a grounded, loving space, fostering trust, intimacy, and authentic connection. Step 9. Reflection questions for real-life application. To integrate inner child healing into your twin flame relationship, reflect on: which situations trigger my inner child, and how can I respond from the adult self? How can I practice self-protection and recognition before seeking it externally? Which boundaries will support both my autonomy and my twin flames? How can I co-create appreciation and recognition without creating dependency? Use these reflections to guide conscious, balanced behavior in real-time interactions. Step 10. The transformational outcome. Applying inner child healing in real-life twin flame dynamics transforms the relationship profoundly. Freedom from reactive patterns. Anxiety, jealousy, and clinginess decrease. Mutual respect and balance. Both partners interact as equals, honoring autonomy. Deepened intimacy. Love flows freely, grounded in conscious presence and awareness. Sustainable growth. The relationship becomes a partnership for spiritual, emotional, and personal evolution. Emma and Liam both found that as they practiced these steps, their twin flame relationship shifted from cycles of tension and projection to spaces of conscious love, understanding, and co-creation. The intensity remained, but the chaos faded, replaced by trust, clarity, and genuine connection. Healing the inner child in the context of a twin flame relationship is a lifelong practice. It requires consistent awareness, self-compassion, and the courage to meet your own needs first. By recognizing triggers, self-soothing, setting boundaries, and co-creating conscious rituals, you transform the parent-child dynamic into a partnership of equals. Your twin flame can then serve as a mirror, a partner, and a co-creator of love, not a source of rescue, validation, or protection. This is the essence of conscious twin flame connection, a union that honors your wholeness, nurtures growth, and allows love to flow from a place of inner completeness. The journey is challenging, yet profoundly rewarding. Each moment of self-care, recognition, and conscious communication is a step toward a love that is free, balanced, and deeply fulfilling. By now, you have journeyed through recognizing the inner child's wounds, breaking emotional dependency loops, providing yourself with protection and recognition, and applying conscious practices in real-life interactions with your twin flame. But healing is not a one-time achievement. It is a lifelong practice. Without consistent attention, old patterns can subtly resurface, triggering anxiety, projection, or dependency. Part 8 is about sustaining inner child healing. It's about creating habits, rituals, and awareness that keep your adult self centered, your inner child nurtured, and your twin flame relationship balanced over the long term. Healing becomes a lifestyle, not just a temporary fix. Understanding relapse and the nature of patterns. Old emotional patterns often resurface unexpectedly, especially under stress or emotional intensity. This is not a failure. It is the brain's natural tendency to revert to familiar neural pathways. Example: Emma had made tremendous progress in healing her inner child. She was confident, self-soothed quickly, and communicated from her adult self. But during a particularly stressful week, her twin flame canceled plans at the last minute. Almost automatically, Emma felt panic and insecurity rise, as if she were back in the old cycle. This moment highlights an important truth. Healing does not erase triggers or remove emotional reactions. It equips you to respond consciously instead of reacting automatically. Recognizing the return of patterns is part of the process, not a setback. Step 1. Daily maintenance of inner child care. Sustaining healing requires regular maintenance, just like physical fitness or meditation practice. Consistency creates a strong foundation for resilience. Practical daily habits. 1. Morning check-in. Begin each day by connecting with your inner child. Ask, what do you need today? Protection, recognition, or comfort? Respond immediately with affirmations, visualization, or self-compassion exercises. 2. Midday pause. During the day, especially when emotional intensity rises, take a brief pause to ground yourself. A simple breath exercise or a silent check-in can prevent old patterns from hijacking your reactions. 3. Evening reflection. Journal or meditate about moments when your inner child was triggered. Reflect. Did I respond from my adult self? What can I learn from this moment? Celebrate progress and acknowledge areas for growth. 4. Affirmations. Repeat statements like, I am enough, I am seen, I am safe, I love and care for myself. Regular reinforcement strengthens internal validation and reduces reliance on external affirmation. Step 2. Creating emotional anchor practices. An emotional anchor is a tool or practice that stabilizes your inner child when triggers arise. It prevents the return of dependency loops. Techniques. 1. Safe space visualization. Revisit your mental sanctuary regularly. Visualize your inner child protected, acknowledged, and comforted. 2. Grounding objects. Carry or place objects that symbolize safety and love, a crystal, a small keepsake, or even a written affirmation. Touching or looking at it triggers calm and security. 3. Physical rituals. Gentle self-hugging, stretching, or mindful breathing reinforces emotional regulation, signaling safety to the nervous system. Example: Liam always kept a small notebook with affirmations and reminders for self-validation. When he felt anxious about a late message from his twin flame, he would open the notebook, read his affirmations, and ground himself before responding. Over time, this became automatic, reinforcing consistent inner child care. Step 3. Setting long-term relationship boundaries. Sustainable healing requires boundaries that prevent old patterns from resurfacing. Boundaries are not walls, they are structures that protect both partners' autonomy while encouraging conscious intimacy. Practical guidelines. 1. Time boundaries. Agree on periods of focus, rest, or personal space. Respecting these prevents anxiety-driven reactions. 2. Emotional boundaries. Recognize which emotions are yours and which belong to your twin flame. Avoid absorbing their stress or projecting your triggers onto them. 3. Communication boundaries. Clarify expectations around responsiveness and conflict. Avoid overanalyzing or controlling their behavior. Example: Emma and her twin flame established a rule. We check in once every few hours during busy days, but uninterrupted personal time is respected. This boundary reduced Emma's anxiety and prevented dependency loops from re-emerging. Step 4. Continuous self-reflection and inner dialogue. Self-awareness is key to preventing regression. Maintaining an ongoing dialogue with your inner child keeps wounds visible and responsive, rather than dormant and reactive. Reflection questions. Which triggers today stemmed from past wounds rather than present reality? How did I respond, reactively or consciously? What new patterns are emerging that need attention? Where can I celebrate progress in self-soothing and validation? Consistent reflection allows you to notice subtle patterns before they escalate, enabling timely self-care and conscious communication. Step 5. Partner collaboration without dependency. Your twin flame can be a collaborator in healing, but only if boundaries and self-sufficiency are maintained. Collaborating does not mean relying on them for emotional survival. It means creating a relationship that supports mutual growth. Practical collaboration practices. 1. Mutual check-ins. Share feelings without expectation of rescue. Example: I noticed I felt anxious today. I practiced self-soothing, and I wanted to share my growth with you. 2. Co-creation of rituals. Establish shared rituals of recognition, gratitude, or celebration, emphasizing cooperation rather than validation seeking. 3. Joint reflection. Discuss triggers and reactions together as mirrors of each other's growth, without blame or criticism. Example: Liam and his twin flame created a weekly reflection ritual. They shared personal triggers and growth moments, celebrating conscious responses rather than dependency-driven reactions. Over time, this strengthened intimacy and trust. Step 6. Using mindfulness to sustain emotional sovereignty. Mindfulness ensures that the inner child's needs are continually met, and old patterns do not dominate. Practicing presence allows you to experience emotional triggers without automatically reacting, maintaining a grounded adult perspective. Mindfulness practices, body scans, identify tension or emotional signals, and consciously release them. Meditation, observe thoughts and feelings as passing phenomena, reducing attachment to reactive impulses. Non-judgmental awareness, notice old patterns resurfacing and acknowledge them without self-criticism. Example: Emma noticed fleeting insecurity when her twin flame commented on another friend. Using a mindful pause, she recognized the trigger as a childhood echo, reassured her inner child internally, and continued the conversation calmly, avoiding projection and preserving relationship harmony. Step 7. Celebrating consistent growth. Healing the inner child is a lifelong process, and celebrating progress reinforces new neural pathways and emotional patterns. Recognize moments where you responded consciously rather than reactively. Honor times when you self-soothed instead of seeking external validation. Appreciate your ability to set boundaries without guilt. Celebrating growth strengthens self-esteem and reduces fear of regression. Step 8. Story illustration. Long-term integration. Emma and Liam's stories exemplify sustained healing. Emma maintained morning and evening rituals, checked in with her inner child, and used visualization and affirmations. When stressful triggers appeared, she paused, self-soothed, and responded from her adult self. Her twin flame relationship became more conscious and balanced. Liam integrated grounding practices, journaling, and reflection exercises. He and his twin flame co-created weekly rituals for mutual recognition. Even when old patterns arose, he responded with awareness rather than anxiety. Over months, the parent-child dynamic dissolved, replaced by trust, partnership, and shared emotional growth. These stories demonstrate that consistent practice, reflection, and conscious communication prevent regression and sustain inner child healing. Step 9. Reflection questions for sustained healing. Which daily practices most effectively support my inner child? How do I notice early signs of old patterns resurfacing? How can I reinforce boundaries and autonomy without distancing love? How can I celebrate my growth and reinforce positive patterns consistently? Use these reflections to adjust, refine, and deepen your healing practices over time. Step 10. The long-term transformational outcome. When inner child healing is sustained, the twin flame relationship reaches its highest potential. Emotional reactivity decreases, replaced by conscious adult responses. Dependency loops are minimized, creating freedom for both partners. The relationship evolves into a mirror and partner dynamic, rather than parent-child. Love becomes conscious, authentic, and deeply fulfilling. Ultimately, the long-term practice of inner child healing transforms both your internal world and your relational world. Your twin flame connection becomes a space of mutual growth, conscious love, and emotional sovereignty. Sustaining inner child healing is the foundation for a lifetime of balanced, conscious love, where triggers are opportunities for growth, old patterns are observed without judgment, and emotional independence coexists with deep connection. Having journeyed through the process of recognizing your inner child's wounds, breaking dependency loops, and cultivating self-protection, recognition, and comfort, you now enter the final transformative stage, building a conscious, resilient, and deeply intimate twin flame relationship. Healing your inner child does more than prevent emotional reactivity. It enables you to engage in a connection that is profound, balanced, and mutually supportive. This stage is about moving from survival and dependency to thriving in love, where both partners experience the richness of emotional, spiritual, and relational growth. Step 1. Understanding the post-healing dynamic. Once your inner child is nurtured and your emotional patterns are consciously managed, the twin flame relationship undergoes a subtle but profound shift. From dependency to partnership, your relationship is no longer driven by fear, neediness, or validation seeking. Instead, both partners show up as whole, self-sufficient individuals. From projection to reflection, triggers still arise, but they become opportunities to reflect, learn, and deepen connection rather than to react or blame. From conditional love to conscious love, you no longer seek love to fill a void. Love flows freely, intentionally, and with awareness. At this stage, the twin flame connection becomes a mutual mirror, highlighting both strengths and areas for growth, while also serving as a space of shared joy, creativity, and intimacy. Step 2. Aligning values and emotional goals. A strong twin flame connection after inner child healing requires alignment on core emotional and relational values. These may include respect for personal boundaries and autonomy, commitment to conscious communication, mutual recognition of each partner's efforts and growth, shared intention for spiritual and emotional evolution, practical exercise. Sit together in a calm, reflective space and discuss your values. What do we each need to feel safe and supported? How do we want to handle triggers and disagreements? What does conscious love look like to each of us? This exercise creates clarity and sets the stage for a resilient, aligned connection. Example: Emma and her twin flame agreed on the principle. We communicate openly but allow space for self-reflection before responding. This alignment prevented old cycles of panic and overcompensation, supporting both personal growth and relational stability. Step 3. Practicing conscious intimacy. Conscious intimacy is central to a post-healing twin flame relationship. It is intimacy that flows from wholeness rather than neediness. This includes emotional intimacy, sharing fears, dreams, and desires without expectation of fixing or rescuing each other. Physical intimacy, expressing affection, touch, and presence with awareness and consent, not as a means to soothe dependency. Spiritual intimacy, engaging in shared meditation, reflection, or conscious exercises that deepen mutual understanding and growth. Story illustration: Liam and his twin flame began a weekly meditation practice. During these sessions, they shared reflections on their emotional states and triggers, grounding themselves individually and collectively. This conscious practice deepened trust, intimacy, and emotional safety. Step 4. Maintaining autonomy while strengthening connection. After inner child healing, maintaining personal autonomy is essential. Wholeness within yourself creates a magnetic, balanced connection that strengthens rather than weakens the bond. Practical strategies. 1. Pursue individual interests. Continue hobbies, friendships, and professional growth. 2. Practice personal reflection. Daily check-ins and journaling keep emotional patterns visible. 3. Honor emotional boundaries. Recognize which feelings belong to you and which belong to your partner. Example: Emma maintained her painting and writing routine. Her twin flame also had personal creative projects. Rather than creating distance, this autonomy enriched their conversations, collaboration, and shared joy. Step 5. Embracing the mirror effect for mutual growth. The twin flame connection is inherently reflective. After inner child healing, triggers serve as tools for growth rather than points of conflict. Practical approach: notice triggers without judgment. Ask, what is my partner reflecting back to me about myself? Respond from the adult self. I see this reflection. It's an opportunity to deepen understanding, not a reason to react. Celebrate growth in both yourself and your partner. Story example: Liam noticed his twin flame expressing frustration over a minor misunderstanding. Instead of taking it personally, he reflected, "This is my projection of past abandonment fears. I can observe and learn without reacting." By doing so, the conversation became constructive rather than conflictual. Step 6. Rituals to deepen connection. Intentional rituals reinforce the post-healing bond. Rituals create shared experiences that deepen trust, recognition, and love. Daily gratitude sharing. Highlight one thing you appreciate about your partner each day. Weekly reflection sessions. Discuss personal growth, triggers, and conscious responses. Joint creative projects. Engage in art, music, or service work together to co-create meaning and joy. Meditative connection. Spend quiet, mindful time together to strengthen spiritual and emotional alignment. Example: Emma and her twin flame created a nightly ritual. Before sleep, they shared one personal achievement and one moment of self-compassion. This simple practice reinforced mutual recognition and prevented relational dependency from creeping back. Step 7. Continuous inner child care within the relationship. Even after healing, inner child needs never disappear completely. Regular self-care ensures the twin flame bond remains balanced. Check for triggers. Pause and self-soothe when emotional reactions arise. Daily reparenting practices. Affirm, comfort, and validate yourself as needed. Integration of lessons. Reflect on how old patterns are being replaced by conscious responses. Example: Liam noticed subtle jealousy when his twin flame spent time with friends. Instead of reacting, he practiced grounding, reaffirmed his inner child, and observed his feelings. He approached the situation with calm curiosity rather than anxiety, preserving connection integrity. Step 8. Story illustration: thriving post-healing connection. Emma and Liam's stories illustrate the transformation. Emma, by consistently practicing self-soothing, recognition, and boundary setting, she engaged with her twin flame as an equal partner. Their connection became a mirror and a source of conscious growth, rather than validation or protection. Liam, grounding, reflection, and shared rituals allowed him to respond to triggers with adult awareness. He and his twin flame created a partnership rooted in trust, respect, and intentional love. Both experienced a deepened, resilient connection, marked by joy, intimacy, and conscious co-creation. Step 9. Reflection questions for deepening twin flame connection. To continue building a resilient connection, reflect regularly. Am I responding from my adult self, or from the inner child seeking reassurance? How can I honor my autonomy while strengthening our bond? What rituals or practices deepen our intimacy and mutual growth? Where can I recognize and celebrate our conscious love today? Regular reflection reinforces conscious engagement, ensuring the connection grows instead of slipping back into old patterns. Step 10. The transformational outcome. After inner child healing, a twin flame relationship reaches its highest potential. Emotional independence allows love to flow freely. Trust, intimacy, and communication deepen naturally. Mutual growth is prioritized, with challenges serving as opportunities rather than crises. The connection becomes a sacred partnership, fostering emotional, spiritual, and relational evolution. Your twin flame is no longer a parent or a source of validation. It is a mirror, a partner, and a companion in conscious love. By sustaining your inner child healing, setting boundaries, and practicing conscious intimacy, you create a connection that is not only resilient but profoundly transformative. Healing your inner child and applying these practices in your twin flame relationship transforms the connection from reactive patterns to conscious love. Triggers become mirrors, emotional dependency dissolves, and love flows from wholeness rather than neediness. A deep, resilient twin flame bond is built on mutual awareness, self-soothing, consistent boundary setting, and shared intentional rituals. When both partners approach the connection with conscious presence, respect, and emotional sovereignty, the relationship becomes a space of profound intimacy, growth, and joy. The journey is ongoing, but the reward is extraordinary. A connection that reflects the highest version of yourself and your partner, grounded in love, wholeness, and conscious evolution. Throughout this journey, we have explored the depths of the inner child, unraveled patterns of dependency, and learned practical ways to provide ourselves with protection, recognition, and comfort. We've applied these practices in real-life twin flame dynamics, created resilient boundaries, and built conscious rituals to strengthen intimacy and connection. Now, in this final chapter, we synthesize these lessons, reflect on the transformation, and explore how to move forward with clarity, courage, and inspiration. This is the part where the insights coalesce into practical wisdom, giving you a roadmap not only for twin flame relationships, but for lifelong emotional and spiritual growth. Step 1. Reflecting on the journey. The journey of inner child healing is profound because it addresses the root causes of relational pain and dependency. Many of us enter twin flame connections seeking validation, protection, or unconditional love that we didn't fully receive in childhood. These unmet needs can unconsciously turn our twin flame into a parent figure, someone we rely on to fill the voids within. Key reflections from this journey include: triggers are mirrors. Every conflict, fear, or anxiety you experience in the relationship reflects an aspect of your inner child's unresolved needs. Healing requires conscious effort. Emotional independence is built through daily practices, rituals, and self-compassion, not overnight. Conscious love is intentional. Moving from reactive patterns to thoughtful, adult responses transforms the quality of connection. By reflecting on these truths, we recognize that the twin flame relationship is a powerful vehicle for growth, but the work happens within. Step 2. The power of reparenting yourself. Reparenting is at the heart of this transformation. By giving your inner child protection, recognition, and comfort, you reclaim your emotional sovereignty. Why this matters? You no longer rely on your twin flame for validation. This reduces tension, jealousy, and anxiety. You establish a foundation of self-worth. Your self-esteem comes from within, allowing love to flow freely. You create a safe relational environment. With both partners healed and self-sufficient, intimacy becomes conscious rather than compulsive. Practical takeaway. Daily rituals like inner dialogue, visualization, journaling, and grounding exercises ensure that your inner child remains nurtured, even in challenging situations. Step 3. Sustaining emotional resilience. Healing is not a one-time event. Old patterns can resurface, especially under stress or emotional intensity. Sustaining resilience requires 1. Mindful observation. Notice triggers without judgment. Ask, is this my emotion or a reflection of my past wound? 2. Self-soothing practices. Pause, ground yourself, and address your inner child's needs before seeking external reassurance. 3. Ongoing reflection. Journal or meditate about your responses to triggers and celebrate conscious reactions. 4. Boundary maintenance. Protect autonomy and respect your partner's space to prevent relational stress from reactivating dependency loops. Story illustration. Emma and Liam, despite months of progress, still face moments of insecurity during stressful periods. Their success lay in observing triggers consciously, self-soothing, and approaching their twin flame interactions from a place of calm awareness. Over time, these moments strengthened rather than weakened their connection. Step 4. Building a relationship from wholeness. After healing, your twin flame connection shifts dramatically. From survival to thriving, love is no longer about meeting unmet needs. It becomes a space for mutual growth and conscious intimacy. From projection to reflection, your partner mirrors your strengths and growth, not your deficiencies. From fear to trust, both partners engage with vulnerability while maintaining emotional independence. Practical example. Liam noticed that disagreements with his twin flame no longer triggered panic or resentment. By staying grounded, communicating from his adult self, and acknowledging his inner child's fears internally, he transformed conflict into dialogue, creating stronger trust and intimacy. Step 5. Rituals for ongoing connection. To maintain a deep, resilient bond, establish rituals that reinforce conscious love. 1. Daily appreciation. Share at least one acknowledgement of love, effort, or growth each day. 2. Weekly reflection. Discuss personal triggers, conscious responses, and mutual growth moments. 3. Shared creative or spiritual practice. Meditation, art, or collaborative projects build shared meaning. 4. Check-ins for boundaries. Respect each partner's autonomy and ensure both feel emotionally safe and nurtured. These rituals maintain connection while preventing old dependency cycles from resurfacing. Step 6. Lessons in conscious love. Healing your inner child teaches profound lessons about love and partnership. Love is not about fixing or rescuing. Both partners bring wholeness to the table. Communication is conscious, not reactive. Adult dialogue replaces impulsive emotional reactions. Boundaries and autonomy enhance intimacy. Respecting space strengthens connection rather than creating distance. Triggers are tools for growth. Observing and responding mindfully to triggers deepens understanding and trust. Reflection question. How does my healed inner child allow me to experience love differently than before? The answer lies in freedom, freedom from compulsion, fear, and projection, and the ability to engage in balanced, conscious intimacy. Step 7. Story illustration: the final transformation. Emma and Liam's relationship demonstrates the power of sustained inner child healing. Emma, through daily rituals of self-validation, grounding, and conscious communication, she maintained emotional autonomy. Her twin flame relationship became a source of inspiration and joy, not anxiety or dependency. Liam, by integrating mindfulness, journaling, and co-created rituals, he responded to triggers with awareness and compassion. His relationship became a partnership built on trust, shared growth, and conscious love. Both found that their connection was not only stable but profoundly intimate, reflecting the highest potential of a twin flame union. Step 8. Moving forward: call to conscious action. The final step is not passive reflection, it is active practice and integration. 1. Commit to daily inner child care. Continuously nurture, protect, and recognize yourself. 2. Practice mindful interaction. Observe reactions, self-soothe, and communicate consciously. 3. Celebrate growth. Honor each moment of conscious response and relational evolution. 4. Engage in shared rituals. Co-create moments of appreciation, creativity, and reflection with your twin flame. This approach ensures that healing is sustained and relational patterns continue to evolve positively. Step 9. Reflection questions for integration. As you move forward, consider these questions. How can I continue to nurture my inner child in daily life? What practices help me respond consciously to triggers in my twin flame relationship? Which rituals deepen connection without creating dependency? How can I celebrate both my growth and my partner's in our shared journey? These reflections guide conscious participation in love, ensuring that your twin flame relationship is an ongoing source of growth, joy, and emotional fulfillment. Step 10. Closing inspiration and call to action. Healing your inner child is one of the most transformative acts of love you can undertake. By reclaiming your emotional sovereignty, providing yourself with protection and recognition, and applying conscious practices in your twin flame relationship, you create a bond that is profound, resilient, and deeply fulfilling. Your twin flame is no longer a parent, rescuer, or source of validation. They are a mirror, a partner, and a co-creator in your journey of conscious love. The relationship becomes a space of mutual growth, shared joy, and authentic intimacy, where challenges are met with awareness, triggers become lessons, and love flows from wholeness rather than neediness. CTA call to action. Begin each day with a short ritual to connect with and nurture your inner child. Reflect on moments where triggers arise, and practice self-soothing before engaging with your twin flame. Co-create rituals with your partner that celebrate growth, appreciation, and conscious intimacy. Share this journey with others seeking conscious love and emotional sovereignty. Your story can inspire and guide them. Remember, healing your inner child is the key to transforming your twin flame relationship into a connection that is balanced, conscious, and truly magical. Each step you take towards self-love and emotional awareness strengthens both yourself and the bond you share. Your journey does not end here. It evolves daily with each conscious choice, reflection, and act of self-compassion. The reward is nothing short of transformative. A love that mirrors your wholeness, nurtures your growth, and illuminates the deepest parts of your soul. YouTube description: greater than or equal to 300 words. Are you tired of feeling anxious, insecure, or dependent in your twin flame relationship? Do you notice yourself seeking validation, protection, or approval from your partner, as if they were a parent figure? This series is designed to guide you through the transformative journey of inner child healing, helping you reclaim your emotional sovereignty and create conscious, balanced connections with your twin flame. Through practical exercises, real-life examples, and mindful strategies, you'll learn how to recognize and soothe your inner child when triggers arise. Stop projecting past wounds onto your twin flame. Set healthy boundaries and communicate from your adult self. Co-create rituals of recognition, appreciation, and conscious intimacy. Each video focuses on applying inner child healing in real-life twin flame dynamics, ensuring you break free from patterns of dependency, fear, and emotional chaos. By healing your inner child, you no longer need your twin flame to fill voids in your past. You can engage in love consciously, authentically, and with full presence. The series also provides tools for sustaining your inner child's well-being long-term, preventing old patterns from resurfacing, and building a resilient, deeply intimate twin flame bond. Every story, exercise, and reflection is designed to help you understand that true love begins within you. Start your journey of inner child healing today, and transform your twin flame relationship into a connection that mirrors wholeness, respect, and conscious growth. Remember, your twin flame is a partner, not a parent, and your inner healing is the key to experiencing love fully. CTA. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more guidance on inner child healing and conscious twin flame relationships. Share your insights and experiences in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else on their healing journey. Hashtags 500 characters. Inner child healing, twin flame healing, conscious love, emotional sovereignty, twin flame journey, self-love practice. Heal your inner child, relationship healing, spiritual growth, twin flame connection, mindful love, break dependency, personal growth, emotional healing, inner child work.